This message comes from NPR sponsor Sony Pictures Classics. I'm Still Here from filmmaker Walter Salles is the true story of one family's resilience when a dictatorship attempts to tear them apart. Led by a Golden Globe winning performance by Fernanda Torres, now playing select cities.
Heads up, there's some salty language ahead. Hey everyone, you're listening to Code Switch. I'm B.A. Parker. That still sounds bad. Wait, so I'm learning how to play the banjo. Be kind, I'm not great, and I've been getting some guff about it. You'd be surprised at the amount of attention one gets as a Black woman commuting on the subway with a banjo on her back. It's mostly older white guys telling me to keep up the good work. Like they're passing this baton that's inherently theirs. And to be honest, that's what learning it at home was feeling like. We're a work in progress, people. I mean, there's YouTube tutorials galore, but they're mainly white guys teaching how to be the next Ralph Stanley.
It's hard to get that little sneaky lick, slow, but I'll get it as slow as I can.
That's made learning how to play the banjo a bit lonely.
Come on down, folks. Come this way.
So when I finally sought out community, I didn't know it would lead me to a banjo toss. Or rather, the banjo toss.
Hello, everybody! Welcome to the 2024 Banjo Toss.
It's this absurdist event at the Brooklyn Folk Festival where competitors toss a banjo on a long rope into the Gowanus Canal. The person who throws it farthest wins free dinner and a show. Now, I didn't do the toss. I was there to spectate and mingle.
I play a banjo uke.
A banjo ukulele? And I was kind of overwhelmed by just the sheer amount of people with banjos that were around on this cold November afternoon. Like dozens and dozens in a circle jamming together, all knowing Americana songs and Southern spirituals. The juxtaposition wasn't lost on me. Like, I know the history of the banjo, how it comes from West Africa, how enslaved people in the Americas and Caribbean adapted this gourd instrument from their homelands into the banjo that we know today, how the banjo was almost exclusively played by Black folk until minstrelsy. So I can enjoy myself as one of the few Black people on that cold afternoon, but still feel a bit of friction. And I needed help reconciling that feeling. So I went straight to the top.
I have some notions.
Yes, please.
Because it's kind of like that whole idea of discovery of the banjo, but then that question of like, why don't I know this? You know what I mean? Why is this constantly discovery for us?
That's Rhiannon Giddens. She's a Grammy winner, Pulitzer Prize winner, MacArthur Genius Fellow.
I am a singer, banjo player, and cultural historian, I guess.
Giddens is also the woman who blessed us with the opening riff of Beyoncé's country hit, Texas Hold'em. All in all, Giddens is that girl.
For the people who were exposed to my sound already, yeah, that's really cool. There's way more people who have no idea who played that banjo. And that's okay. That was by design. Not my design, but, that wasn't the focus of that track. And that's fine. Like, I didn't do it for that reason. I did it because I just want the sound of it out there and I happen to play it. When that song came out, what I did on my Facebook feed is every day I highlighted a different Black banjo player.
I saw.
You know, because I'm like, this is, okay, so if eyeballs are coming my way because of that song, they need to go to the community.
And I'm looking to find my place in that community. I've been searching for Black banjo players in my city to no avail. But maybe I'm not searching in the right places. So this week on Code Switch, I'm learning how to play the banjo and talking to Black banjo players about creating community and reclaiming an instrument that's historically already theirs.
Support for this podcast and the following message come from Lumen. Have you ever wondered how your metabolism works? Lumen is a metabolic device that measures your metabolism and gives personalized nutrition insights so you can take control of your health. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism through the app. Visit lumen.me/codeswitch, that's lumen.me/codeswitch, and use the code CODESWITCH to save 20% off your Lumen today. This message comes from Charles Schwab. When it comes to managing your wealth, Schwab gives you more choices, like full-service wealth management and advice when you need it. You can also invest on your own and trade on Thinkorswim. Visit schwab.com to learn more. This message comes from Grainger. As a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, you know that vintage charm historically needs constant attention, which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them, the right tools and supplies are never far away, so you can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. Support for NPR and the following message come from the Wallace Foundation, working to develop and share practices that can improve learning and enrichment for young people and the vitality of the arts for everyone. Ideas and information at wallacefoundation.org.
Right now, eyes are on the Black banjo community. That's because beyond Texas Hold'em being nominated for multiple Grammys, Giddens herself is currently nominated for Best American Roots Performance for a song called The Ballad of Sally Ann. It's a story song about a lynching written by Black country songwriter Alice Randall.
Johnny got married in his one good suit, but the ride from the church it bore strange fruit. Down by the road you can hear her cry as he hung from a tree. She watched him die.
The song was first recorded by a white man 33 years ago. Now Giddens is the first Black woman to record it.
Who's gonna dance with Sally and who's gonna touch her trembling hand?
I'm mostly excited for Alice Randall because it's her song. It's a song about lynching that, you know, finally got a performance by, you know, the Black woman that she wrote it for. So I'm excited for her that this story, which is a very difficult story, has been, you know, highlighted by the nomination.
So how did you get into playing the banjo?
I got into playing the banjo through dance. I heard the banjo as a sort of dance instrument, like the clawhammer style, really for the first time, and was like, this is amazing. What is this? This is not bluegrass. Like, I love this, you know, and really just danced to it for a while and then was kind of like, okay, I need to learn how to play this. And then, like, as I started to play with the white old-time musicians in the area, which they were lovely folks, and, like, they're like, well, you know, the banjo's, like, African. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And then that kind of started me on my, you know, my journey of like, oh my God, what else don't I know about my own culture?
So Giddens dug into that history.
The banjo is an instrument of slavery. It comes out of enslavement. There is no banjo without the transatlantic slave trade. So to understand the banjo, I was like, I really need to understand the history that surrounds it.
In her research, she found a banjo instruction manual from 1855, the first of its kind.
How to play the banjo, how to be a minstrel, like all of these things.
And it had all the basics to songs like Yankee Doodle and the Jim Crow Polka.
The tunes in that 1855 book are really proto-American tunes, old minstrel tunes. I had to throw the words out because it was just so depressing, you know.
Yeah.
But really, I'm interested in the music, you know, because all the early minstrel songs that we now call folk songs that we now teach our children, you know, Blue Tail Fly and all that stuff. Those tunes are legit American tunes, you know, they're coming out of that sort of folk soup of music.
And if you don't think you know Blue Tail Fly, you might actually know the lyrics. Because if you grew up in America, you know the songs in that folk soup.
When I was young, I used to wait on my master and give him his plate.
And pass the bottle when he got dry. And brush away the blue tail fly. Jimmy crack corn and I don't care. Jimmy crack corn and I don't care.
Jimmy crack corn and I don't care.
The master's gone away.
Blackface minstrel songs like this one are a far cry from the songs used to emote and amuse between work on a plantation. Yes, culture ebbs and flows, but it helps to acknowledge how the banjo changed hands.
So in the time leading up to the 1920s, you know, Black people were moving out of the South. You know, we were like moving in huge numbers as part of the Great Migration for a better life, right? To escape racism, you know, lynching, whatever. We end up in the North, we end up in the West, we end up in the Midwest. And, you know, we didn't put the banjo down in as much as that a lot of the folks who left, you know, they discover, oh, I'm in a different place. Like, music is different here. Like, oh, we don't have corn shuckins anymore. I don't need this old banjo. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they're playing the hip music, or this new guitar thing is really cool, or, you know, whatever. But there were still plenty of Black people who still played the banjo. But when you get the music industry coming in, they would go in and they'd set up and they put an ad in the paper, you know, colored performers, you know, come bring your blues on a Thursday, and like, you know, hillbillies come bring your fiddle tunes on a Friday. And if you're a Black fiddler, you show up on a Friday and they're like, well, you know, Blues Day was yesterday. It's like, if you're a Black fiddler, you're like, well, I better learn some blues if I want to get a job.
Between the Great Migration and World War II, a lot of Black musicians pivot and adjust with the times. And it left an opening, particularly with the American folk music revival, to reappropriate things like the banjo. So we start to hear white artists like Pete Seeger and Alan Lomax turn slave songs into songs for the white working class. And now the way a lot of people view the banjo is Earl Scruggs, it's Steve Martin, it's Kermit the Frog. But for Giddens, her touchstone wasn't any of these.
Kind of all roads lead back to Joe Thompson, really, for me.
Joe Thompson was Giddens' teacher and led her to what would become her famed former string band, the Carolina Chocolate Drops.
Joe Thompson was an African-American fiddler who lived in Mebane, North Carolina, and he was part of a long line of Black string band musicians in a family tradition that kind of stretches back to the time of slavery. But he, you know, Joe was kind of one of the last members of really once an enormously thriving Black string band tradition that stretched all over the country, really.
Here's the Carolina Chocolate Drops playing the traditional song Georgie Buck with Joe Thompson.
Georgie Buck is dead. That's what he said. No blood, no salt in my bread.
So for white string band musicians, you know, there were many elders that were still playing that they could learn from and they could be, you know, with. But for the Black community, there weren't very many. And so to have somebody like Joe Thompson at the time that we had him, and he was 86 when we first started playing with him. But I feel like it's one of the most fortunate things that I've had in my life. And I feel like I'm kind of in a dilemma, you know, because it's something I'm really thinking about a lot with this music. You know, I had a very special experience of, you know, apprenticeship, and that just, it worked out because I was living in the, I mean, I'm from, like, my family's from Mebane, you know, like, I lived 40 minutes away. Like, we could meet. Like, Joe didn't charge us money. Like, there was no, I mean, he was there to play. That was his job, is to be the community musician. So anybody who came, he would play with. Now we started, like, we would get gigs and then we would bring him out and we'd give him all the money. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of way we could pay him back. And there were a lot of cultural exchanges that we had during those times that you cannot get in a formal classroom. You know what I mean? It's a totally different ball of wax. What I hear from folks in the community, in our community who are learning this music, it's not like, oh, I just want to play the banjo so I can play some tunes. It's like, there's this connection, right? There's this historical connection, there's this cultural connection, there's this ancestral connection, and that's a different thing to me.
I feel like Giddens lucked out early and found her community. But for me, I'm still looking for mine. I've been putting out a bat signal trying to find Black banjo players in New York City. And when I talked to Giddens, that community was still eluding me. Until I found someone who showed me I was going about it the wrong way.
Maybe we're learning songs that, have been sang for hundreds of years, because so much of that comes from Black people, they should have the option of being in a Black space.
That's coming up. Stay with us.
This message comes from Intuit TurboTax. Now, Taxes is matching with an expert backed by tech to get you the most money back at TurboTax.com. Experts only available with TurboTax Live. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
This message comes from CarMax, boldly searching for your next used vehicle. With CarMax, you don't have to settle on anything when it comes to your ride. Instead, steer clear of the ordinary and buy the car that's right for you. Because CarMax makes it easy to stop settling and find a car you'll love today. Start shopping now at CarMax.com. CarMax, the way car buying should be. This message comes from BetterHelp. Every January brings you 365 blank pages waiting to be filled. What do you want your 2025 story to be? Therapy can help you craft the next chapters with purpose. BetterHelp offers therapy 100% online with a diverse network of over 30,000 therapists worldwide. Visit BetterHelp.com/NPR today to get 10% off your first month. Support for NPR and the following message come from American Jewish World Service, committed to the fight for human rights, supporting advocates and grassroots organizations worldwide working towards democracy, equity, and justice at ajws.org.
Parker. Just Parker. Code switch. I've been talking to banjo goat Rhiannon Giddens about the Black history of the banjo. So I'm at the beginning of my banjo journey, and I've started taking lessons, and I'm in a group course, and it is a majority white people, and I'm in this room. I am very aware that I'm a Black person, and we're playing down by the riverside, and so I'm enjoying myself. But there's also this kind of cognitive dissonance that I'm experiencing of a group of white people teaching me Black Southern songs.
Yeah.
Tonight, tonight I have a recital, which is coincidental to this interview, and I'm stressed. It's a group recital, so it's an adult showcase, but we're gonna perform Georgie Buck, which I don't know. It just seems like a Black Southern song that I'm going to perform with a group of white people in front of another group of white people. And I'm trying not to get in too much in my head about it, but I'm also very aware of that history while I'm learning.
It's very fraught. It's very layered. It's very much, you have to kind of hold things simultaneously, if you know what I mean. There is a shared common Southern heritage of music and culture, right? That everyone, has pieces of, and things have gone back and forth between cultures and all this kind of stuff. And that is the same for the music. And you can go, okay, this is something that, belongs to all of us, but also given the way that the history has been taught, given the way that we have been erased from this history, you feel that, otherness for a music that supposedly is from your own, you know what I mean? It's from your own ancestral history. So I'm come to my house and I'll teach you Georgia Buck. We'll just sit and play Georgia Buck. You know what I mean? That's what I'm interested in, is this, if you really want to learn in a context of being a Black string band musician, then we have to figure out ways of passing this on within our, you know what I mean? In addition to taking classes, in addition to, being in, being in that recital or whatever, but how do we do it when there's so few of us?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know I'm not going to get any kind of like historical context when I'm taking the course right now, but I know that I'm going to get some kind of technical skill. Although, I mean, thank goodness the Georgie Buck I got to learn. All I got to do is a G and an E minor the whole way through, and that is okay with me.
Your journey is your journey. Like, as long as you end up playing the banjo, it doesn't really matter how you got there.
So after I talked to Giddens, I performed in my first recital. It was nerve-wracking. But it was a group of us, and the audience was very kind. And finally, the songs I had heard not so long ago at the banjo toss were at my fingertips, albeit a little clumsily. With the recital being the end of my classes, I started looking for other avenues to learn, and I found Hannah Mayrie. They're a musician and a teacher.
I started and run an organization called the Black Banjo Reclamation Project.
Hannah's creating spaces for Black banjo players to come together, which is a change of pace from how Hannah was introduced to the banjo, hitchhiking around the country.
I got into the banjo as a person that was traveling through American society in the folk tradition. So I came across it like in the wild, if you will.
In my mind, now I'm picturing you like hopping on the railways, just playing like as a raconteur, playing the banjo.
Well, I don't know what a raconteur is, but I have rode some trains in my day.
Hannah, you're like an actual folk hero. I asked Hannah about their goals for the Black Banjo Reclamation Project.
I think there's a few. One of the outcomes, in theory, would be for Black people to have the experience of pursuing and stewarding folk music while being in Black spaces. So maybe we sit around a fire, maybe we're learning songs that, have been sang for hundreds of years, I think people should have the option of doing that because so much of that comes from Black people. They should have the option of being in a Black space. And that's what I feel like the advocacy work has been of Black Banjo Reclamation Project, is making more spaces, more comfortable spaces for Black people to just pursue cultural learning and have it not be out of context.
Hannah invited me to an online banjo study group that they run. Just a Zoom call once a month, and each person on the call gets to share what they're working on, banjo-wise. Hi, I'm Parker, she, her. I'm in Brooklyn, in New York, and I've had a banjo for a bit. A friend gave me her banjo, but I'm still very novice at it. So, yeah, I'm just so excited to be here. Yeah. I didn't expect to be on a call with over a dozen Black banjo players from all over the country, of different ages and backgrounds and skill levels, all seeking community. It's what I'd desperately been looking for. I wasn't alone. I wanted to thank you for inviting me to your class, because now I have something to look forward to the first Saturday of every month. Yes, I mean, I enjoyed the class that I had before. I would go to a physical space, we'd play. Again, I was like, I'm a Black person. But like, I was seeking out other Black banjo players, and I wasn't getting anybody. And in one meeting, being in your study group, met like 3 people in my city, and now we've got plans that we're going to meet at the end of the month and like bring our banjos and talk and like have community. And I just really wanted to thank you for that, because like that was like such a joy and such like an incredible opportunity.
I'm so glad to hear that. I mean, that is definitely my intention. And I feel like if that is happening, then like what is happening with Black Banjo Reclamation Project is working. And it's like fulfilling its cause, you know?
Is there anything you think I should work on before our next study session? Like, what do you think I should look up?
Have to answer that a little more specifically. Like, I would be asking you questions about what you were working on in the class and stuff. And
I'm still working on my my chords in the key of G. That's what I'm still like really working on.
I feel like you're at work right now, but I would be like, yeah, just whip out your banjo real quick and just show me, you know, or whatever.
It's right here. I don't mind embarrassing myself. It's okay. All right. So, like, I keep wanting to use my thumb, and I know I'm not supposed to use my thumb.
And you
like,
can.
Leave the
I
thumb
mean, have you ever
alone.
seen how like Jimi Hendrix plays guitar?
Well, he was left-handed though.
But like, there's blues fingering for guitar, for example, where you can like grip your thumb around it. If you can make it work, if that's your anatomy, then like that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You can slow it way down because like you want to be able to like make all of the beats consistent. So if you have to go this slow in order to get the chord change on your left hand, you want to do it at like the slowest pace that will allow you to have fluidity.
The fluidity has never even occurred to me until you just told me. Because I'm trying to go like everyone. I actually heard about the Black Banjo Reclamation Project because a listener told me that I needed to check it out. Hannah said that they got the urge to create the project in 2018.
I was coming out of an artist residency where I was learning a lot about different types of harm that white people cause to Black people in artist spaces. And it really just dawned on me to be like, I need to be asking people for banjos. That was just the first initiative of it, was receiving banjos in the name of reparations and distributing them to Black people who had expressed explicitly that they wanted to be on a journey with the banjo.
Now, Hannah didn't give me a banjo, but they've welcomed me into this space and encouraged me to respect this instrument that I feel this connection to. Respect, which Hannah feels like should be the bare minimum.
Like, how many times have you been subjected to hearing a joke about a banjo from a white person? Little do people actually stop and think, this is actually like offensive.
It turns out there are endless jokes that are all basically alluding to the same thing, that banjo players aren't very smart and that the banjo sounds annoying.
When you're talking about an instrument that has already gone through so much insult, like specifically through minstrelsy, and then to have somebody make jokes like, oh, how does a banjo, whatever, I don't know what the hell you're saying, but it's not something that's supporting my motherfucking banjo journey.
Part of Hannah's journey involved learning how to make banjos.
I have learned to make a banjo, because I wanted to create banjos, but also because I wanted other people to have that knowledge, and I didn't want that knowledge to feel like it was being hella gatekept.
They say they get requests all the time from Black folk who want gourd banjos, seeking a more traditional kind of instrument. These instruments are hard to come by and expensive, so they run workshops to help people build them. But everyone's journey is different.
Yeah, I'm not making a banjo. I'm going to buy a banjo from somebody who made a white dude made my banjo. Full stop.
Rhiannon Giddens' banjo is also a very old school style. A style directly from 1858 because she feels a cultural and ancestral connection to it.
The instrument itself is just a totally different kind of banjo. Despite the fact that it was used by blackface minstrels, it was also played by African-American banjo players. Like, this was just it was the tool. It was the banjo of the time. And for me, it felt like a warmer way into dedicating my life to the banjo than the modern banjo, which has so much modern caricature around it, modern ideas, media manipulation around that image of what a banjo player is and who a banjo player is.
But those caricatures aren't my idea of a banjo player. I mean, in the past, you've got Dink Roberts, you've got Elizabeth Cotton, you've got Etta Baker, and now Rhiannon Giddens is my gold standard. But while searching for a Black banjo community, I realized that whether you're starting out or have become the premier banjo player in the culture, that need for connection persists.
This music didn't come from a star-making machine. It came from community. It came from working class people making a life together. And the more that we try to make it fit into that music industry model of one person at the top, the music's going to die. The music needs community. It needs sharing. It needs collaboration, or it will turn into something that we do not recognize.
This coming April, Rhiannon Giddens is hosting her first festival called Biscuits and Banjos. It's an entire weekend of Black folk artists coming together and vibing in community. She's even reuniting on stage with the Carolina Chocolate Drops.
I'm so happy you're learning the banjo. Keep up with it. And if you come to Biscuits and Banjos, we'll sit down and have a little moment. Banjo moment.
And Hannah Mae Reid with the Black Banjo Reclamation Project has created monthly spaces for culture and connection. And the community building worked because I finally found some people I was looking for. Oh, hi. Hi, I'm Parker. Nice to meet you. I met with 4 other Black banjo players from the study group. We met in person with our banjos and just played. See? No, okay. Let me see your C.
Okay. I'm second.
Yeah. And that's our show. You can follow us at Instagram at NPR Code Switch. If email is more your thing, ours is codeswitch@npr.org. And subscribe to the podcast on the NPR app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also subscribe to the Code Switch newsletter by going to npr.org/Code Switch newsletter. Just a reminder that signing up for Code Switch Plus is a great way to support our show and public media, and you'll get to listen to every episode sponsor-free. So please go find out more at plus.npr.org/Code Switch. This episode was produced by Jess Kung and myself. It was edited by Courtney Stein. Our engineer was Josephine Neonai. Special thanks to Jeff Wiley, Kyle Tiggs, Alina Migoni, Skylar Swinson, Kayvon Jones, and a very special thanks to Diane Wu for giving me her banjo. The song you're hearing right now is from Hannah Mae Reid. And a big shout out to the rest of the Code Switch Massive: Christina Kala, Xavier Lopez, Leah Dinella, Dahlia Mortada, Virlin Williams, and Jean Demby. I'm B.A. Parker. Hydrate. How do you take care of your nails? Sorry,
I just rip them off on the left hand, and then I just, try to, I don't unzip my pants like with my pointer finger because that's my banjo nail.
That's commitment.
Yeah, there's no magic. It's just, you just try to take care of it, But I can also play without it. Yeah, you have to eventually play without the nail, and it's a duller sound, but whatever.
This message comes from Warby Parker. Prescription eyewear that's expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Glasses designed in-house from premium materials starting at just $95, including prescription lenses. Stop by a Warby Parker store near you. This message comes from Bombas. Their slippers are designed with cushioning, so every step feels marshmallowy soft. Plus, for every item purchased, Bombas donates to someone in need. Go to bombas.com/NPR and use code NPR for 20% off your first order. This message comes from Bombas. Their socks are super plush, designed to support your arches and support people in need. One purchase equals one donated to those experiencing homelessness. Go to bombas.com/NPR and use code NPR for 20% off your first order.